one or the other. They can't be both of these things. There's no like intersection. They have to be one or the other. They can be what we call discontinuous, or they can be continuous. And like I said, there's no in between, there's no middle ground. They are one or the other. It is discontinuous if you have to pick up your pencil while graphing. Or whatever you are graphing with. Good morning. So it is discontinuous if you have to pick up your pencil while you are graphing. Look at the graph over here. Do you see how in order to draw it, I could draw this piece of it? We call those arms. I could draw this arm, and then I would have to pick up my utensil, and then I'd draw the other piece. So if you pick up your pencil, it is discontinuous. If you do not pick up your pencil, that's when it's continuous. Okay, so it's a pretty simple test for those to decide one or the other. So some questions will be just that easy, and it'll say, is this continuous or discontinuous? Again, the trick is, did you pick up your pencil? If you did, discontinuous. If you didn't, continuous. Okay, let's go to a graph on the next page. I don't know why this is just sitting here in the middle, but it is our parent function for these types of graphs. So this is what the parent function is going to look like. Thank you. There should be asymptotes that go along with it, but this is the most simplified toned down version. Is there a more simple equation than 1 over x if you have a fraction? Yeah, assuming we have to have a fraction, 1 over the x is the most simple toned down version. So for the parent function, your vertical asymptote is at 0, and your horizontal asymptote is at 0. And Miss Bessel gets a little lazy because writing out vertical asymptote and horizontal asymptote every single time, it's a lot of letters and takes you a few seconds there. And so I call it VA for vertical asymptote and HA for horizontal. So normally they're right where your axes are. But we're not obviously going to have a graph this simple. So if you had this graph, what I'm saying is that this would be your vertical asymptote and this would be your horizontal. So that's where they are for the parent function, but they're going to move around on us when we go to graph. All right, so we're going to go to Desmos. So go to the apps. Only the apps. Go to the apps. And we're going to type it in. The good news is you don't have to, like, remember we were pulling up the keyboard and going over to functions, and remember all the stuff we did with logarithms? Yeah. We don't have that whole path that we have to do. Okay? So we just have, for our first graph, we have 1. So type in your 1. Everybody type it in. And then when you go to divide, do you know which key is your division key? The slash next to your shift. And do you see how it makes you a nice fraction? Like it gives you a denominator? And what does number 1 have in the denominator?
X plus 2.
So I'm going to type that in. X plus 2. Do we have a graph that looks like mine?
Yes.
I'm going to come around and check. Are you pulling yours up on your phone, or do you Do you want me to grab you one while I'm over here, because I'm checking anyway?
You couldn't walk around the back and not feel like you would be in anyone's way? That's weird.
It's not, I don't want to be in anyone's way, I just don't want to walk.
Divide it.
Dude, you got 2 feet, you can walk.
Yeah, you can walk.
All right.
You could have. You should have.
Here we go.
I'll need your third opinion on it.
Here we go. Stop. Now, do you see how there are 2 parts to our graph? 1, 2.
Yes.
Is it discontinuous?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we have two, like I said, we call them arms to our graph. And so here's like kind of the good news, bad news piece. The good news is you've been graphing all year. These are going to be similar to what you've been graphing all year, right? We know how to use Desmos. You're good at Desmos. The bad news is because there are two arms, I need 3 points for one
3 points.
and 3 points for the other. So I'm going to start with the one on the left, and I'm going to make a grid for that. And then I'm going to go to the one on the right. I'm also going to think about where my asymptotes are. Okay? So let's start with the one on the left, just the graph first. So let's find some points. Ooh, is that going to be a nice one? Oh, I'm going to go with that one. Do you see how I've got -7 and -0.2? I'm going to go with that one for my first one. Remember, you can use different points than me. So if you find one and you're like, this one's better than yours, it probably is. Okay, I'm going to go for... Well, that one's not bad. I'm going to go -4 and -0.5. And then I think I'm going to go all the way down here. What's this guy? Oh, I thought I could maybe get it right to 6, -6, but I can't. All right, so I'm going to go with -2.17 and then -6. Can you see that? I tried to get close to -6. All right, now, do you see how I can kind of like pull this down? Where is my graph never going to touch or cross? What line vertically does it look like my graph will never touch or cross?
Why?
So go left to right. Is it going to touch or cross 4? Yes, right? It goes zoop right through 4. How about 2? Does it go through 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it go through 0?
Yes.
Is there anything at -2?
No.
No. So that's where my vertical asymptote lives. So I'm going to write that note for myself. My vertical asymptote is at x equals -2. And I'll show you my paper in a minute. I can only put one thing under the dot cam at a time. All right, let's go over to this graph, and I'm going to try to find some more points.
This one has better points.
This one does? Oh, good. I don't even know what I want to pick. So many options. Okay. I'm going to go -1, 1. I like that one. I think I'm going to go with one a little bit higher up, too. I'm going to go with... That one's a weird one, but I want it.
That one's a weird one.
-1.75 and then 4. And then I'm going to go with this one. 2 and 0.25. Okay. Now let's think about your graph the other way and think about our other asymptote. We're going to think up and down. So I'm going this way this time. If I put my hand here, and if you think of this as a big horizontal line, will the graph touch it, the red graph?
Yes.
Yes. Here,
Yes.
here,
Yes.
how about right here?
No.
No. And where is that? What do we think of this as when we're right on this axis? What numerical value would that be?
Or the HA.
Yeah, it's the HA.
Alright.
And what numerical value?
0.
0.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
Okay.
Numerical?
Let me. Numerical just means number. Like what
Oh,
number
yeah,
does
yeah.
that represent?
I don't have nothing with what you got down here.
Okay, well, take a minute and make sure that we have the same stuff written down. We're not in a rush, we're just graphing today. Okay, so I have a lot of information written down so that when I go to graph it in a minute, it actually looks like the graph. So, on the left is the set of points for one of my arms. On the right is the other set of points. And then I wrote down my vertical and horizontal asymptotes because I was looking for, on my graph, what doesn't the graph touch? And when I went up and down and looked at it, it didn't touch the x-axis, And when I went left to right, it didn't touch -2. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw in my asymptotes. If anybody wants a highlighter for that, you can come grab one. If you don't care, you can graph in pencil. It doesn't matter. All right. And then do you see how this one's at -2?
Yeah.
So I'm at -1, -2. Thank you. So those are going to be the first things that I graph. And remember, those are kind of my division lines, right? Yeah. Remember, those kind of divvy up your graph into different regions where you can graph these points, and it helps you stay inside the lines, right? We never want to touch or cross those lines. All right, so let's start graphing the first arm. I'm at -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm at -0.2, so I'm just below. I'm at -4, -1, 2, 3, 4, and down about 0.5. I'm at -2.17, -1, -2, 2.17, and then down at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just went through and graphed. And then we can look at the graph again to remind ourselves, but this is the shape it made. Right? It kind of was going to the right, and then it took a sharp turn and started going down. And remember, it's never going to touch or cross those green asymptotes. All right, let's graph the other part. -1.75, so I'm right here-ish. And I'm up at +1, 2, 3, 4. -1, +1. And then I'm over 2, and I'm up about 1/4 of the way. And then remember, this graph looked like this. And again, I can look back at my graph on my screen to see it. And remember, we don't touch or cross those dotted lines. It's like thinking of yourself as a kindergartner again, and you get something to color and your teacher says stay inside the lines. We need to stay inside the lines. We can't graph over them. Are we okay for the first one?
Yes.
Okay, let's work on pulling that information out again. First of all, make this a positive for me. I'm not ready for negatives yet. Those give us reflections and kind of some, yeah, we can, but we're not there today.
I'm there for.
Kind of a growth mindset moment. We can, we're not there. So make this positive for me. Shimmy it into a positive. And then go back to Desmos and back out of everything you have.
Don't be on any other app.
Yeah, don't be on any other apps. All right, do you see how it says 1/x + 4?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to do my 1. I'm going to do my slash, and I'm going to do my x. Do you see how I'm down in the denominator?
Yes.
Okay, to get it to come back up, you arrow to the right. So use your arrow to the right, and do you see how it pops back up to like a normal spot? And then put +4. +4. Does anybody need help getting this graph to happen? You all have this graph.
How do you put it over?
The slash is, do you see the question mark in the bottom right corner of your keyboard? Okay. All right, let's start with our asymptotes this time because I feel like those are kind of tricky to find. Let's start with our HA and our VA. All right, let's start with a vertical asymptote. Let's go left to right. Do I have graph here? Up and down?
Yeah.
Here?
Yes.
Here?
No.
No, not here. Where is that in terms of numbers? What number would that be?
0.
0. So my vertical asymptote is at x equals 0. And again, if you're not sure how to write it, I'll show you my paper in a minute. Let's look up and down. Do I have graph here?
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
here,
Yes.
here.
No.
No.
Wait,
What
why
is,
don't
what
you have
number, huh?
Why don't you have a negative
A negative for what?
in front of it?
Because I said I didn't want to do that. I told you to please make it positive. I wasn't ready for that in my life yet. We'll deal with that another day. Okay, so do we agree there's no graph here? Where is
Yeah.
here?
4.
Here is 4. So y equals 4 is your horizontal asymptote. All right, now I'm going to make my table. I'm going to make 2 of them again because it helps me to kind of have them separate. So I'm going to find some points on this side, and then I'm going to find some points on the other. And again, you can pick different points. You pick whatever makes you happy. Yep, I'm going to pick, I just want you to pick 3. I don't care which 3.
As long as one of them matches up.
Well, and you don't even have to have one of them match up. You can have none of them match to my points.
As long as the graph looks right.
Yes, that's exactly right, Bryson. As long as the graph is correct.
Graph don't look right.
Yep, that's more of a problem. Okay.
Oh, there's a nice one.
You found one? What was your nice point
Negative
1,
1,
5. Yeah, that one.
on this one? Okay, I'm going to start with 0.5 and 6, and you said what is it?
1, 5.
1, 5. Ooh, I like it. That is a nice one. 1, 5 it is. And I'm going to pick this one. Alright, so I'm going to move mine off the screen and I'm going to show you the ones I picked. I'm also going to show you how I wrote the horizontal and vertical asymptotes. So make sure you have similar information written down. Maybe not the exact same points. We talked about that being fine, but we at least need kind of some similar information on our papers. Okay. Vertical asymptote, that means up, down, is at 0. 0 is here. And if you ever need to refer back to your graph, right, it's right close by. You can look at it and be like, where did my graph not touch? Oh yeah, it was right there on the axis. And then this one is at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the first thing I put in. I need those boundary lines. They help me a lot when I go to graph. How are we doing so far? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to graph.
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm going to graph this arm first. -1, -2, -3, -4, and I'm up 3.75. 1, 2, 3.75. -0.5, so I'm going to go halfway, right? Between 0 and -1, I'm going to go halfway, and I'm going to go up to 2. So we're kind of estimating where some of these are. And then I'm at -0.25 and 0. And again, we can look back at our graph to kind of guide us and remember how it went. Kind of make it look similar to what we had there. Now I'm going to graph the other arm. Over 0.5, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 1, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1, 2, 3, 4.25. Miss Littleton, I feel like I'm like an exercise coach when I'm counting that much. I'm like, and hold 1, 2, 3.
2 more.
And 2 more. We can do this.
I'll be going 2 more.
All right.